Do you have a mic?
You gonna start?
I'm start. Don't start. Don't do that.
Yeah, I got one. It's right here.
Desiree.
It's right here.
Desiree.
Hello.
Desiree. I didn't see her with her mic, y'all. Y'all already know. Welcome to. Don't do that. I'm trying to welcome the people right now. Are you tripping? Oh my gosh, y'all. Somebody come get her.
Welcome to Just Ask the Podcast,
Where we
create a safe space for influencers to
decompress, have fun,
and just ask.
It's your girl Jessica S. Smith, the host, and my producer, my best friend, my boo boo, Desiree Danielle is over there on the ones and twos.
Hey,
y'all.
that's my middle name.
That's your
Danielle.
middle.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
She's a beautiful.
She's a beautiful. I love a Danielle, honey, because that's my Danielle, the Desiree Danielle. I love her. Y'all, did y'all hear that elegant voice? She's like, "That's mine."
DD's in the house.
That's my name. That's my name, y'all. We have a wonderful, wonderful guest today, and I'm excited because this is my first time meeting her.
Yes,
it's my first time meeting her. Officially meeting her. We have none other than Dr. Put some respect on this one. Dr. Deven Tellis. Round of applause. So it's like, who is that? Y'all, let me give you a list. First of all, the fact that I said a doctor, y'all really need to pay attention because the people that get the PH and the D, God bless them.
Yeah,
okay, because it wouldn't be me. I don't know. If the Lord made me do it, I promise you I'm crawling. I'm crawling to the cross. I'm just like, Lord, please don't make me do it. But we have a doctor. She's in the education field. So I can't just say, oh, she's a teacher. She's in the education field. She is dominating in the education field. She is an author specifically for our chocolate babies, honey. She is elevating our chocolate babies in their reading, not only just in their reading, but their confidence. I just love it. Black people magic.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Unapologetically Black people magic, but just loving on our babies through learning educational tools. And I heard somewhere that you speak foreign languages or something.
I do speak French.
Okay, so can we go there first? Because I used to tell my daddy that I was gonna marry me a Mexican. So is Spanish something that you teach? Because I might need to know it.
I mean, I could help you with Spanish.
Help
I've
us,
never
Lord.
had a formal class, but French and Spanish are related.
Okay, they are.
They are laid out the same. The grammar, all of that. Now I can't help you with an accent because I sound like a French person with a Spanish accent.
Okay, give us a little song, Dr. Tellis. Tell the folks that you educated in all areas.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Dr Tellis. Enchanté.
Now tell the people that what you just said.
I just said nice to meet you.
Okay, because I knew the bonjour part. You know, that means hello. And I heard your name. So obviously she said her name.
She introduced herself.
And then you said nice to meet you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're going to practice mine off camera because I don't want to embarrass myself.
It's fine. We've got time.
How are you doing today?
I'm
Dr.
great.
Tellis?
How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for reaching out. Like, this is one of the first people that reached out to me and just say, hey, can I be a part of your podcast? And I tell people all the time, like, hit me up, like DM me. And I think people really, real deal, think I'm lying. Like, no, this is Dr. Tellis and I, first time meeting, and we're going to have a conversation because she's doing some amazing things. Are you originally from Birmingham?
I am.
Oh my gosh, tell me what side you from, and I hope you say the best side.
So we grew up in Inslee.
Let's...
And then moved to Forestdale.
Okay.
When I was in 7th grade.
All the west side.
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah, you said the best side. You heard her. She said, I lived in Inslee. You know, great. And I really would like to highlight that because great things come out of Birmingham, but great things come out of the west side of
27th
Birmingham.
Street, up from the fairgrounds.
Okay. You might know a little something. You might know a little something. What school did you go to?
I went to Advent. So I didn't
I
didn't
know,
go to a Birmingham
but
City
about that.
school.
It's okay now. Okay. Now I want to get into like your education, the teaching, and all the stuff like that because I think this is a great space, especially now, to talk about education and the field of education. Because I am not gonna lie, Desiree, you correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know if have you ever been a teacher before? Have you ever been a teacher other than cosmetology teacher?
No.
So these kids different. They're different. They have different needs. Because when I was a child, you know, my daddy was borderline giving my teachers permission to whoop me. You know, the school systems are a little different now. How are you? You're an educator, okay? And it's like you're passionate about it from what I see. What motivates you to continue to do what you're doing, and how are you managing the time differences or the need differences?
That's a whole can of worms.
Oh, I'm here for it.
So, yes, I'm an educator. Yes, I'm passionate about it, but I'm also a frustrated educator.
Ooh, we done got to the meat. Already. Can we talk about that? Because it's real. I think that my parents on here need to really hear the heart of an educator, because I pray for y'all every day. I don't see how you guys do it, but I'm also not graced in that area. So when you say frustrated educator, what frustrates you?
So I'm not in the classroom anymore. I teach virtually.
Okay.
Through Access. So I teach high school students basically that are spread throughout the greater Birmingham and Jefferson County area. So I've got rural kids and I've got Hoover kids. I've got all kinds of kids. But prior to that, when I was in the classroom, I remember being very passionate, just being excited to reach my kids. I was always that teacher that was just outside the box. Like I would ask for permission later. I would do what I want to do, and that I knew that the kids were going to like. I went and fried up some beignets one day, like smoked up the whole building, but it was great. And they remembered that French culture lesson, though. You know, I would just do stuff like that and ask for forgiveness later.
Yeah.
And administration, you know, if you have a great administration, it's great. But if you don't, it sucks. And so, unfortunately, I ended up with some sucky administration, which also made a lot of red tape. So I ended up just saying, like, why am I here? Because there were so many pieces of red tape, so many loopholes that certain people got to work around, and I kept getting treated like the stepchild. One, because I was not a core subject. So that's a whole nother platform, because teaching to the test, core subjects, things like arts and music and foreign languages, we get
pushed to the side.
And we get to be dumping grounds, you know, for kids. We'll just put them over here, and then they want you to pass them. But then that messes up the quality of your class. So I felt like it was just sort of eroding my passion, like eroding what I was excited to come to work to do, because we just had so many other things that were not necessarily directly tied to my job as a classroom teacher. And so it just wore on me over the years. And so you have that coupled with the type of students we have now,
right,
because of the products of society, because of everything being a microwave society. You got kids that are they don't really have any soft skills. Like, what is eye contact?
Yeah.
What is a capital letter at the beginning of a sentence? What is not typing in all caps when you're addressing an adult? All of those things are lost. What is cursive handwriting? Let's talk about that. So all of these things, so now it's a catch-all.
Yeah.
You're having to try to meet them, or either bring them up to where you think they should be, and be creative and put together something fun for them to do, and deal with administration, and deal with parents, some who are on board and some who are not on board.
Right.
So it's a lot.
Man, I was just about to go there, because it's like, okay, admin is one thing, and it's like, I guess when you're in school and you're the student, you're not really thinking about you can and you can't. Like, you think, when I was in school, you went to school to learn.
That part.
Like, you went to school to learn. My father,
that was your job.
Like, that's it.
That's what my parents said.
And my daddy was like, you go up there and play if you want to. I got something for you when you get to. I love you, Dad. But that Kenny and the Smith did not play with me. And so I love that you brought up the arts, the music, all of that is being pushed out. And I never really thought about foreign language. So let me ask you this. What do you think foreign language, how does that develop the student?
Okay, this is also my soapbox.
Okay.
So Foreign languages, just the muscle memory that it creates, what activates in your brain helps across the entire board, like for educational spectrum, how that's concerned. Math, English, all of that. The process that it takes for you to put together sentences in another language, learn how to pronounce sounds that you don't necessarily make on a daily basis. All of that is an exercise that strengthens certain muscles in your brain. And then that helps bump up achievement across the board if you do it the right way. We're at a disadvantage here in the South, number one, because everybody thinks that Spanish is the only language.
Like the way I asked you about my Mexican man.
It's okay, but I've gotten to the point where I'm just excited that somebody even cares about another language, because here in the Bama, people are just like America, and that's it. Nothing. My way or the highway, everybody needs to speak English, and that just makes me angry. And because Spanish is accessible. So you can go and maybe practice it somewhere, maybe hear somebody. But I hear French people speaking when I go out, different places at the mall. If I go to Disney World, you're going to see somebody from another country when you go to Disney World. But you have to look for those opportunities, and you have to act on them. If you go to a pita stop, somebody from Lebanon probably owns it, and they speak French. So go practice. Seek out those different things. But I think, back to your original question, it just helps across the board. It opens up your mind, because now you know we're not the only people on the planet. People speak other languages besides English. 2, and it's just something to broaden your horizons. You get to be immersed in another culture, learn to appreciate differences, and then that just kind of helps across the board with dealing with different types of people above all. And so that's kind of what I always put on my syllabus when I have a new class. Yes, you're here to learn French, but you're here to learn people.
That's so good.
People skills, just relating to another person, even if you come from totally different backgrounds.
I think you brought up a great thing that we deal with, whether it's a student or non-student, grown adult, whatever. We don't get to know the person. And so basically what I just heard you say is that learning a different language puts me in the seat of another person. Learning a different language allows me to understand not just the language, when I'm speaking out my mouth, but the embodiment of that person. If I'm learning a language, then I'm like, oh, maybe I want to learn the culture. Maybe I want to learn, the traditions, and sometimes we can be in our own world and we think, oh, I want to go here. Well, you can actually bring this to you and learn it to you. So I think that's powerful. So how did you even get into the learning of French, education? Like why? Like why Dr. Tellis?
Okay, so I went to Advent, and that's downtown. Okay. Are you familiar with it?
Not familiar with Advent.
It's downtown Birmingham. It's really cat-a-corner to the library, within walking distance. It has a purple awning on it. It's connected to an Episcopal church, and it takes up a whole block. Anywho, when I was there, we had to take French starting in kindergarten. I was there from kindergarten to 8th grade. Had an awesome teacher. Her name was Nina Seaman, and we didn't just have French class, but French was in everything. So like if we had a Christmas program, we'd have a whole section of the Christmas program with just French songs. If we, she would take us to French foreign language competitions. So in 8th grade, I was competing against high school kids doing monologues in French. It was just very immersive. And I think because she was such a cool teacher, and because she saw that I had a knack for it and pushed me to go further, I just continued it. It was just a good foundation. So when I got to high school, I was way beyond the high school level of learning French. I tested out of the first 2 levels of French. And then I ran out of French by the time I got to be a senior, but I knew I wanted to take French. So I had a friend whose mom was from Lebanon, who I met with once a week to practice my French, because I was that serious about it. We read books, we talked about the news, all sorts of things. So I think it really just started at Advent, and just having a teacher to pour into me and realize that I had a knack for something and just encourage me. And then my parents kept it up after the fact.
This is so good. Like, I don't even know if you really hearing yourself right now, but this is so good. This is what I just heard. Teachers are seers, right? And if they act on what they see, they could push you into your purpose even quicker. Right?
I never thought about it that way.
So your teacher taught you French saw that you had a niche for French, and now you are a French educator. Like that's, if you break the timeline down like that, that's how you can realign it. And so to my teachers, first of all, shout out to y'all. And I really pray for teachers, because as like you said, as discouraging maybe as the system is right now, or what they have to deal with admin and the teachers, and I mean the parents and the students,
it's
could
a lot.
could blur your vision. So now it's like, I'm just doing a job for a paycheck versus I'm seeing the student. This is so good, because I know you're a woman of faith. How dangerous is it for us to put teachers in a position where they can't see? How dangerous is it for us to put teachers in a responsibility to not live out their purpose, to push the purpose in your child? How dangerous is that?
It's very dangerous.
And so for you to tell me that you're drained, and I also hear you felt unsupported.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
Like, how dangerous is that? How are we not pouring back into the people that are pouring into the future?
Yeah. I was going to say, as you were talking, Jess, I was thinking about that could be twofold, because I feel like I've heard stories of people who have made it to where they are because they had a teacher at some point that spoke something to them that they saw. But I also, on the flip side, have heard where, a teacher has spoke something that was not speaking life, it spoke death, but also played a big part into what that person was in their future. Like,
right.
I've heard stories like the teacher said, oh, you never amount to nothing, or you're just a joke, or you're just this is this. So now you're planting, it's seed planting is what it is. They're planting these seeds, whether good or bad. And any seed that we plant, a harvest is gonna have to come back up from that.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm like you. I pray for educators as well, because not everybody has a heart to teach. I think that's definitely a passion and a grace that God has given, and it's necessary for those who are called to the educational space to step into that role, because as we see, it could be life or death. Like, if you think like little Johnny, we're relying on little Johnny right now to be big Johnny in the future.
Come on.
We touch everybody.
Every
literally.
single profession, a teacher is responsible for that person growing into that role. And if you have someone who's leading your school, and you can see but they can't see, then where does that leave you? Because you're still their subordinate in a way, and so you can't overstep them. All you can do is make a lot of noise where you are, and that could either be received well or not well. In my case, it was not received well.
But the fact is, you're calling noise is a problem.
Well, that's what they call it.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's irritating me right now. It's like, you trust me enough to hire me, but you don't trust my voice. This ain't even just about a teacher thing. To me, this is talking about a woman, a black woman at that, because I've been in corporate America, honey, and sometimes they don't listen to you. But I guess what? I kept talking.
You don't say.
Oh, baby, because that's why you got just asked, okay? Because like, I needed space to talk. But no, in all actuality, like, the fact that it's resulted to noise versus the seeds, like, what are you having me here for? And so even when you were talking, Desiree, what I was thinking is, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. T, because is it okay if I call you Dr. T? I just feel like you give me Dr. T vibes. Like, I feel like you're my friend, but I still respect the oil on your life.
I'll take it.
Dr. T. Dr. T. Y'all can't call her that. That's my name. Thank you. So, like, while she was talking, like, I really felt like, I guess I'm more optimistic in thinking that, okay, if someone goes to school 4 or 5 years to be a basic like teacher, not yet alone go get their I got a friend, got a master's, even working on her doctorate right now. Yes, shout out to you, Tiff. And to be in a system that, like, you really work really hard to do something, to end up not liking it so much that you plant bad seeds, right? And so in the culture of teacher, let's say we wake up in the morning and we say, okay, this system is perfect, right? And I know it's not, but let's just hypothetically say that.
Let's stream one up.
What would that look like?
I would, in a perfect teacher world, I would have full autonomy in my classroom. Whatever I needed to do in order to reach my student, that was, hit the points that I needed them to make as far as the standards and all. I should have free reign.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't be told what it has to look like, what box it needs to check, what dog and pony show I have to put on when certain people are in the building coming by for observations. None of that should matter because that's not what we're here for. I'm not here to impress state board, whoever, whatever, come into my classroom for 2 seconds to pass a judgment on what my classroom looks like and what I should be doing. So for me, full autonomy, number one. Number two, support from administration. I don't ever think I've had an administrator that was not biased to sports or biased to core.
You going somewhere.
And then not care that the bias is evident. I mean, usually people try to hide their cards, right? No, not these. So for me to have to work somewhere and to know that you could care, give two flips about foreign language or me trying to grow my program or anything like that is also frustrating. So those would be my two main perfect world. That would just be great. That would be everything.
So the people outside of the system, meaning like even the parents, that's like, so when I say system, you got the student, the teacher, and the admin, right? So that's what I'm considering as the system. The people outside of the system, how could they be of a better support? What does that look like in the perfect teacher world?
So those other stakeholders, I would say, would need to just show up, when you have those meetings, town meetings, school board meetings, show their face, express their concern. If there's a program that you really feel is beneficial to the student and their educational journey, speak on it. Talk about how it's impacted you, talk about how it's a positive thing and how it needs to stay, it needs to be funded, it needs to be supported. Because believe it or not, they do kind of listen to the stakeholders, kind of, not all the time. Sometimes there's an agenda, but their voices matter more so than mine. And so if you show up, even if you don't have a child, maybe you had a child in the system a long time ago, maybe you have a neighbor whose child is in there, but the more voices and more people that show up, the more accountable I feel like the administrators will be held, or the people who give extra money to the schools will be held to the fire a little bit more because they see people are watching. They're taking an interest outside.
That's so good. So I'm gonna be the person, because I can already hear the commentary. I can't show up. I'm a single parent. I have 2 to 3 kids. I have 1 child, and I'm the sole provider. I can't even make ends meet right now. I'm on Section 8 or like all the, and I'm not saying that excuses because it's real life. It's a reality for people. So how is that how can they support or be of support to the system if they can't come?
I would always say, I know this might be old-fashioned, but writing letters, sending emails, even if you have someone who is going to attend a council meeting, send your piece with them. You guys might draft a letter together and you might get some signatures together. There are ways that allows it to not just fall on you, because I know we're busy, we're spread thin, but I say work smarter, not harder, and just kind of tap into what you can do that's within your reach. And I say everybody can email. You can do that from your phone.
You can. I love that you basically didn't give us no excuse. I didn't even think of that. I was sitting here like, okay, what
I'll
about
write a letter in a minute. Yes.
Maybe you need to do a class on write letter to the people.
Memo.
To the people, so we can get these schools in check.
Yes. What I was hearing when she was talking was that, kind of like you talked about the voice, like every voice, like the voices matter. And because voices aren't showing up, the people who make the decisions, they're not being held accountable for their decisions because there's nobody there to challenge them or to speak on the things that is going on, so they can just do what they want to.
I was about to say
they're
doing what they're wanting to do.
They're pushing their own agenda.
And when you were talking about, and I'm sorry, I didn't even think that we were gonna get this deep into like education, but it's so important. So when you were talking about the autonomy, right? It's almost like I hear you saying that we structure school so robotically that we make the child cater to the system versus the system cater to the child. And what I mean by that is like, you don't even get to, this is so good, because even God doesn't do us like that.
He don't.
God don't even come to us and be like, okay, you gotta do this and structure this way. That's why our lives and even our DNA is different. Mm-hmm. God allows us to be us so much that he did not allow anybody to have the same blood calculations as we do.
Facts.
And so it's kind of like, so we like, grow up to be what you want to be, but I'm gonna limit you.
Mm-hmm. But you gotta do it this way.
So backwards.
You gotta make this score. Mm-hmm.
Ooh, please don't get me on no score. Please, Dr. T, please don't get me on a score, because your girl is not the strongest test taker.
Uh-oh.
And fun fact, y'all finna get this because we on the education topic. Went to University of Alabama, Roll Tide. And so I went in on probation. I literally just told somebody this. I went in on academic probation. How you a freshman and you go on academic probation? Now I had a 3.0 and I can't remember my ACC score, but it was
not high enough.
It was not high enough. They put me on academic probation. Mm-hmm. Your girl got off academic probation the first semester, made a 3.5. Was on the dean's list. So don't tell me about no test score. Like, it's discipline and diligence and working hard. Like, I know some very intelligent people. Not saying that going to college or whatever, if that's not what you want to do, if that's not what you did, it's not for everybody. But that's what I did. And I was put on academic probation going in because of a score. And that's what irritates me about what you just said. But let me get off my soapbox, because I almost went. Dr. T,
it's a thing.
You was about to take me into a therapy session. Because what you're doing, and I wanna go ahead and lead into this way, what you're doing with your books, I think that you're taking what frustrates you and you're turning it into a positive. So let's go to this book line that you have. First of all, I forgot. I was so why you let me disrespect you? She got her own publishing company.
Come on.
Thank you.
If don't nobody else clap, I'm clapping for Dr. T. Like, can we start? I really need to start there, because how do you even do that? Because I know like there's the Amazon publishing thing or whatever, like, but no, you literally have your own publishing company. How did that come about? How did you even start like writing? Like, I want the tea.
Okay. So the tea is, I've always been a writer. And well, this will be off the record, but on the record. So I think had writing had the title of, this is what success looks like, you should be a writer, then I would have ended up in that space sooner. But I've always been a writer, and I've just done other things that aligned with, academic performance. And I thought I was going to med school for a little while. That was a great thought, but it was not for me. Small academic settings, going to somewhere like UAB where you're a number in those really big classes. Yeah. I think that just took me out of the game, because I've always competed with myself, but then to have to compete with some of these people who have been groomed from the womb to go to med school, it didn't work. I got stressed out. I lost 15 pounds instead of gaining 15 pounds the freshman year, all the things. Anywho, writing was always in the background. I was loving my creative writing classes. I wrote for my school paper, magazines. I wrote poetry, all the things. And it just was never, and I'm not blaming my parents or anything like that, but it was never, if I had said, I'm going to be a writer when I grow up. I think our parents are conditioned to have a what, have an idea of what success for their kids looks like.
Yeah.
My parents were first generation college students, and they did well for themselves. And I think they wanted my sister and I to go above and beyond that. So we all are educated. We all have our degrees. But I feel like I was a little bit more on the creative side. My mom is music in her background. So, but it was just never, and she made a career in education, in music education. So
she mixed her.
She did, but the whole time she was like, don't be a teacher, don't be a teacher, don't be a teacher. And so I never thought about being a teacher because, of course, she said, don't be a teacher.
Right.
And I just sort of fell into it once I got to UAB, and my plans for being in med school didn't work out. I still had my writing and I still had French. I knew I didn't want to let go of either of those, but I just had to figure out what I could do with those and make a living.
Right.
So, yeah, that's how I ended up in the education path.
You said something so interesting. I think that, Desiree, I think we've shared this with each other, maybe privately, publicly, one of the two, how there's nothing to cultivate the creative mind in the schools. It's kind of going back to the school system, and it's hard not to go back to the education, because I remember, having arts and crafts and all this good stuff. Podcasts weren't a thing for real when I was, I'm a 92 baby, you know what I'm saying? So, but now that they are, and if anybody would have ever told me I would be in this lane and could like really thrive in this lane, I would tell them you're crazy, because of what you just said. Like what your creative niche was to write, and that wasn't encouraged. Why?
Not as a profession. Absolutely not. Now, I was in all the creative writing classes. My teachers all said, oh my gosh, you have such a writing gift. This is wonderful. You should be, you should be senior class poet. You should do this. You should do that. Great. They're just things to add to my resume. And then just stopped there. Nobody ever said, and this is what you can do with your writing talents. And, and this is how you could make a living from that. No.
I feel that. That's what I was thinking. Like I'm creative as well. Like my mom, kind of like you, both of my parents were creative in their own right. So my dad, even though he was in the Army for 25 years and retired from the VA, so 45 years in the Army, his passion is music. So my dad plays the bass guitar. My mom is creative. She actually did go to cosmetology school at one point, but she's always been really good with her hands. So she sews. So everything like crafts and things of that nature, and she still does that today. And so my lane was painting, drawing. Then I started doing hair at 12. But even though I came from a family of creative people, like all my uncles, their workmanship is in their hands. Kind of the same thing. Like when I was in school, it was like, okay, this is great. Like you're good at this, but I didn't have anybody in the system, in my personal family system, to be like, oh, this is great. Let's look at what this could look like this. It was like education. Hey, go to. That's why I went to college. Call myself going as a pre-nursing major, baby. All right, because I was doing what I felt like I should do, which was go to college. Versus like I've always been this creative being, and so I felt like it was kind of stifled a little bit. So now as I'm older, now I'm still trying to figure out these creative outlets, because I feel like it wasn't nurtured in the system. Like nobody really showed me or told me it was even possible, outside of go to college.
And is it that they don't know, or is it that they don't think themselves that it's even possible?
That part, because I just had a conversation with my little sister, all right, and I had to talk to her mama, because her mama flipped on a conversation that we had, and it was so revolving her going to school, right? And it was so, she was scared to talk to me about it because I had success in education, right? Being that I successfully obtained my math, come on, I received that, but I'm gonna say something. But I successfully obtained my bachelor's degree. eventually got a good job. You know what I'm saying? But even now, this is the power thing about God. Like, education really couldn't prepare me for what I'm doing now and what he's pushing me into now. Like, my purpose, education allows me a level of experience, and the experience that I had with education, I have some tools in my toolbox, but I would have never thought I would be here. I would have never thought about being on stages with David Shands and, Tabitha Brown. I would have never thought about that. But education really could have the potential of making sure I have the confidence to do whatever I think I can do. If you're able to have that autonomy with the kids. You got 30 kids in the room. That's 30 different personalities. You know what I'm saying? And so what I love about your book series is that it brings that confidence out. Like, okay, so you already know I done talked about 2 books. Two of the books that stood out to me have the same title, but the different title because of the name. And it's Authentically Ava and Aaron. So it's two separate books for a boy and a girl. First of all, I love how you did that, because boys growing up and girls growing up, 2 different needs. I think that's so brilliant. Can you give us like your heart behind your line, and then behind those 2 books specifically?
Okay. So my books came about during the pandemic. Everybody was at home.
Who help us? At the house.
Help us, Lord. Yeah. And so I decided during that time, it was kind of a dark time for some people. It was really stressful for me because my kids were home going to virtual school, a boy and a girl. So I got one over here and one over here, and I'm trying to, referee that. But then I also was teaching virtually my traditional classroom setting school. Yeah. So they expected us to be on camera for that. So I'm, hopping around. And so I've always been a journaler. I just went back to that. I just kind of had an intentional moment and said, you know what? And I just started writing. And I was thinking about, they were having the school that I was working at the time said, we want you guys to come up with some ways to reach out to the students. Even though we can't see them face to face, we need to, extend some sort of sentiment to help them to feel like we're still in our classroom and that they're still loved and you can still touch on them and all that kind of stuff from afar. And so what I did was I started writing postcards to my students because I love snail mail. I love to get a letter. I love to write a letter. So I was sending them postcards. And then from that, I started jotting down in my journal, like, what are some things that I would want someone to pour into my kids, like in my absence? What are some things as a teacher that I want to pour into my students, or that I've been pouring into my students who I see that immediate need? You can tell when some students come to school and they're deflated or they're missing something. And I just started making a list, and that's what turned into my first book, which is Who's to Say. And I also was talking to myself because...
Okay, Dr. T, I was wondering when you was going to go there, because what I really saw was that you can't make that many children's books and not reach somewhere. What was that place that you reached?
Into little old me, the kid in me. I always talk to myself first. And in my big age, as I've gotten older, and you get knocked down and get, in the job world, just in life in general, friendships, all the things, you get a little jaded. You get a little stale. You get a little just not happy. And so I use that as kind of a therapy for myself, which, I'll take Who's to Say, for example. So that was my very first book. And that one was about speaking against the negativity in your life. And that sometimes the negativity comes from us. Sometimes it's negative self-talk. And so what can I say every time this phrase comes up? Well, who's to say?
Come on.
And so, this is great. So teach the kids early. It's a book where you can read and they can participate. But I'm also saying it to myself as I'm sharing it with the kids. And so what I found is it's touching adults as well, because we need the reminder. We need the reminder.
I'm going to tell you, you just gave me chill. Like, okay, because I know the Holy Ghost in here somewhere. Come on, somebody.
We need the reminder.
Dr. T, let me tell you what you just said, okay? Because I be hearing stuff, okay? Dr. T, hold up. Because I feel fire. Shut up in my bones right now. So you really literally expose when people find their purpose, normally it's in their pain point. The reason why it takes so much for me to do what I'm doing right now with this podcast is because people tried to mute me for a long time. People told me I talk too much. People told me I thought I was their mama. People told, like, all that extra people told me, or what people didn't nurture or what people didn't value at the time. Now, every time I record, I heal myself. And literally, you just said, every time I write, I heal myself. Because what they don't realize, and what we don't take advantage of as these children are developing, we're just like, oh, I don't want them to go through what I done been through. We always look at the point where they're not going to experience what I didn't experience, but what are you pouring into them? What are they experiencing? What words are you pouring into them? And you literally just said, as I heal, I'm healing them. I'm making sure that they don't have to go back to that place or even experience the place.
They shouldn't even have to be there.
Girl.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Dr. T. I'm so sorry. I wasn't trying to be disrespectful.
That was good.
No, you get it.
Oh, I felt my shundo come on. My mind.
Not the good one.
Speaking tongues.
Not the good one.
That's the foreign language I speak in.
You got it.
Diverse ones.
One up over me.
Listen, the heavenly language is my second language. Make that a t-shirt. Okay. Yo, so I know you got some books to show me, and I'm excited to see these projects because y'all, like I said, she's a self-published author. It's the Black excellence for me. Okay, all right. So we're gonna go through these real quick. Oh, she bought me a lot.
I got tons.
Okay. First, look.
It's a Black
Books on books on books.
Yes.
Books on books on books.
And a journal.
West side of Birmingham, stand up. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I'm about to list this out for y'all so y'all can hear. Okay. Goal getters. Now, I don't know what this says.
Okay, I've got to tell you. So
This
there's
French.
French. No, that's Spanish. I brought the Spanish ones today. I do have some French ones that I translated myself.
Dr. T.
I'm sorry,
T,
I forgot to tell you.
Come on. I'm going to say what this is.
In my French Spanish accent, siempre c'est la luz, which is always be the light.
Okay. This the English
Make sure you show
version.
the
There you
people
go.
around
There
us.
you go.
Dr. T, make sure you show the people.
Yeah.
Show
Okay.
the people.
Okay,
Yeah, show the
so
people.
fun fact, this particular book I have also translated into 10 other languages. Swahili,
Just so happy.
Italian, bilingual books. So you've
Just
got
so
the English
happy.
and the other language. These are just solely Spanish, but that was
Say that in Spanish again.
Siempre c'est la luz.
Siempre
You got to go
c'est la
slow for the
luz.
people in the back.
Siempre,
Siempre.
siempre c'est
C'est
la luz.
La luz.
la luz. Hola, ¿cómo está? Bien, y tú?
See, look at there.
Okay, that's about it. Okay, next book.
So, she's just
Okay,
showing you
hold
these are
on.
the Spanish. So this is Who's to Say, but it's in Spanish.
Okay.
Where's
Oh,
my-
these are the ones we just talked
that's
about.
the one that you like.
Yeah, these are this Ava or Ava. Which one?
Ava.
Baby. Okay, if I say Ava,
It's fine.
Who
I
is
guess there's an
Ava?
Ava somewhere.
it's somebody named Ava, baby. If your name Ava, Ava, this
It's
don't work
for
for
you.
you.
It's for
All
you.
right, and this is authentically Aaron.
Oh, so let me tell you about those two.
Okay, I'm
So
gonna let you
this
go
is
with them.
going to be, these are my first two books in a Personality Power for Kids series that I started. So I decided to take just the vowels of the alphabet and make books on positive character traits beginning with each vowel. So this kind of goes into character education if you're on the education wave. But A is authentic. That's the word that's focused on in this book, and that was important for me to do first because there's so many of us out here who are not being our true selves, not showing up for ourselves first, trying to show up for everybody else first. And I just thought it would be fun to see to have kids celebrate who they are and show what that looks like on an everyday basis from little eyes.
I love it. Can Jay be Jessica?
Sure.
Okay, I'm buying that one.
We have to come up with a trait for Jay.
Joyful Jessica.
There you go.
Okay. I mean, I can. What do you call it? Co-author.
Look.
Look, I'm putting my seed in the ground. Okay. Go ahead. Because you already did A's. Okay. I'm waiting for A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
I mean, I don't have to go
J.
in order. I just kind of go.
Oh, okay. So you
what
need to go.
comes to me.
There go your next book.
I'm doing I have an ebook right now that I just, not like ebook, but the letter E is the next two.
Oh,
That'll be out this year.
And
So
you do them boy and girl for each one.
So my new one, and this is exclusive to you guys.
exclusive.
So it'll be Essentially Elliot and Essentially Eliza. Two books. They're coming out.
Let me ask you a question. Do you look up those names?
No, sometimes they just come to me.
Okay.
So usually my title will come to me and the recurring phrase will come to me, and then I fill in the blanks.
Wait, you got to repeat that. That was so good. Because for people that are trying to be authors,
It's
or like,
different for everybody.
I
though.
know, but sometimes, okay, let me tell you something. You just freed me by saying that. Because I get titles and I get like a theme, but the in between is the hardest part, because it's like, oh, that doesn't match the title. That doesn't make sense. But sometimes it can veer in different ways. You're like, hold up.
It's part of your writing process.
But you freeing me.
It's totally
She
normal.
brought up Who's to Say. We did that. Good news. I like my brand new attitude. Okay. All right. This is a good Christmas book. What if Santa weren't Santa? Ooh. Oh, okay. I don't know. Do we need to tell the kids that?
Yeah,
are we killing
it's a good book.
Okay.
Santa
I mean, they can know
just
this
has
on
a
their
case
mom
of
and
the
dad.
what
Oh,
ifs.
I
He
see.
has-
I see.
It's kind
I
of
see
like a
where we
career
going.
exploration book. So we all have our what is my life? What would my life be like if I were not doing what I was doing? So Santa has that going on.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a little scared where that was going.
No, I
We
like
can't be
Santa.
killing
We
kids'
can't kill
dreams.
Santa. No,
Okay.
no.
All right. And then
that's
this
a
is a
coloring
great
book.
coloring book, the best in me, an inspiration of color and activity book. But I wanted to get to these two because I did my research on this one. Good vibes. Good vibes. It says on the back, did you know that good vibes are contagious? I think this is a powerful book, and I did my research. I haven't read the book, I will say that. However, I did do my research on it. So much so, there's a young lady that did a cool activity. She's done activities with several of your books, but this one, I love what she did. And she did, I don't know, do you know her name?
The activity author.
Thank you. Shout out to the activity
She's
author.
cool
She's on
people.
YouTube. She has thousands of followers. If you're looking to do activities with your kids, you might want to look her up. And she's doing it with books. So you're teaching your child while she's doing the activity. So she's taking somebody else's books and then putting the activity with her own child and letting you join in. I think that's so dope. Black women are so smart. Like,
Crafting is her zhuzh.
I mean, and it was like so simple. Her daughter
Loves it.
like she enjoyed it so much. I enjoyed just what I heard about it because, first of all, it's in layman's terms. What do I mean by that? It's in the terms of our existing community. The kids saying cool things right now. Good vibes is something what they's like, I'm checking out the vibes, or your vibe is bad, or you off, or something like that. And so you met them where they are with their language, right? I think educators do have a opportunity with that sometimes, because sometimes we can get a little old school and trifling. Anyway, we don't want to do that. But I love how first of all, I love the activity, but how you met the visuals of whoever's doing your illustrations are doing a magnificent job. But the illustration basically shows how important is the transfer is, and it's oily. Let's just go there. It's anointed. How did you come up with this? What place were you in when you came up with this one?
So I wrote Good Vibes after I wrote Good News. I like my brand new attitude. And so first this title came to me, and then the transfer idea came to me. I said, good vibes are contagious. And, I don't remember what was going on in the news, but it was like a really dark week in the news. And I said, what in the world? And I just started thinking, like, if we kind of start reminding each other that small acts of kindness go a long way. People now just kind of have closed off to themselves. They're not really taking, an extra effort to just smile at somebody, be kind. All of that seems like it's just going out of the window. Last thing on our minds. And so,
like you talked about earlier, soft skills.
Yeah. I mean, that goes a long way. And I think this particular day, I was in the drive-thru, and I know we've all had it happen. Somebody pays for your meal or something.
That's good.
And it just kind of sent my mind on I just started having all of these, okay, and I think I want this to happen and this to happen. So I got home and I started writing down my ideas. And I said, well, I want it to be kids because it needs to start early. And kids need to feel like they have a place and that they can be the change makers, because once we're old, and they're going to be the people to step up.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of kept marinating on that thought and how I wanted to put it together. And then I, sought out an illustrator, and I told her, I said, that we have to, and this phrase that's in the book came to me. It says, good vibes are contagious, so don't run away. If you do what I'm doing, you'll have a great day. So that came to me.
I like that.
So that came to me after the title came to me. And so I had to fill in the blanks. I said, okay, so I know I want this to link together what's going to happen in the book. And then I told the illustrator, I said, we need to figure out a way to show the transfer. I didn't call it a transfer. I called it, we need to show that it's contagious. Mm-hmm. And I told her, I said, I see rainbow. Like, I see a rainbow and I see two kids giving a high five.
Hashtag teachers are seniors now. That's what she's saying.
And so she brought it to life. Literally put the little babies with their hands. And so each time we get a new example of spreading good vibes, the people, they put their hands together, and then you see the rainbow. So that's the transferal of it being a contagious act.
That's beautiful. That it's even the hand, because hands show agreement. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna get deep on y'all because I can't, and we're not finna do all that. Because we got another project. I think this is your newest project, right?
That's the latest journal that I did.
Let's talk about it. Because you said you were a journaler. I think teaching kids to write out their thoughts. Oh, hold up. You got setting goals in here? I need this.
It's a goal setter journal. Okay, so that's my, here we go. This was my first journal.
Okay.
And that one's just for kids. It's an affirmations journal. So I like to color. I know there's some adults out there who like to color.
I like to color.
Okay, it's great. So I decided to put like a coloring book and a journal together.
Wait, hold up. I'm sorry. I got to pause you.
Yes.
I just saw, this just messed me up. You're about to mess me up, Dr. T. You sure you don't go to therapy school? Mm-mm. Oh my gosh. I'm about to cry. So I opened this book that she just gave me, y'all. It says the Weekly Affirmations Journal. It's a 52-week journal to self-love and confidence for kids. And the first one I see is week 25, and it says, I forgive myself for. Whew. Whew.
It's a load.
You bringing therapy to the house.
Not on purpose. It just,
it's in you.
I wrote these prompts for me. So, and I didn't research them. I picked my affirmations. I said, I want to make these in the coloring pages because I like to color. And then I said and thought, okay, I need some journal prompts to kind of go with these. And so I wrote them for me, or, and so many people I'm really surprised at how many people, adults and kids. Although I made it for kids, I have more adults on vending events that buy it for themselves.
You don't know what you're doing. And that was not my
intention at all. I just created it for me and shared it.
This is amazing.
Thank you.
I'm going to buy this book from you today. Y'all, just ask the podcast. This right here, this got oil on it. I'm going back to my inner child, and you didn't just write this for you. You did yourself a favor, and you profited off your pain points. Like, this is amazing. So you were before I hyperly interrupted you. I'm sorry. You said this was first, and now your new project is.
This is a Goal Getter's journal, and this came after this book. Mm-hmm. So also in my teacher life and in my mom life too, goal setting is important. Like having kids be able to visualize where they want to go. Heck, as an adult, being able to visualize where you want to go or how you want to get to a certain point from A to B is important. Just those steps in your mind. And so that's how this story was born. And it's just kids hanging out in the neighborhood. They have a club where they set goals and they meet every Saturday morning, and they set their goals, and then they talk about how they're gonna set their goals. They're the goal getter squad, and so I just made it really simple, because I feel like, again, this is something I'm thinking about me as an adult. What am I struggling with right now?
Mm-hmm. That's
if
real.
I was a little kid and I could get a hold of this information earlier, what would it be?
Yeah.
To help me to deal with it better in this age. And so that's, my thought process when I come up with some of these stories. Like, it would be really great if I had, we had somebody talk about goal setting and really lay into it, and, what it looks like. And a lot of kids don't have that access. Now, my sister and we had pretty good access to different things, but a lot of kids don't. And even though I did, I still need some reminders. I still need some refreshers. And so books like this are good conversation starters with your kids. And so that's where this story was born. And what was really cool about this is that not everybody meets their goal in this book.
So Desiree, I can't talk about no more books. Not with her. Not today. Okay, I'm gonna talk to you offline about that. That is so real. So you're not selling a fantasy. You're really giving these kids the real deal.
Because it's real out here. So yeah, they don't all meet their goal, and that's okay. And you find that out in the story. She doesn't make the team, but she's okay with that. Guess what? She's gonna do X, Y, and Z and try again next time, and it's fine, and life goes on.
Man, I'm so glad you're here.
But I had to put that in there because
No, that's so real, because sometimes I remember being a child, and it was so backwards. Like they would fluff up everything, and then when you got to the real world, it's boom, there it is. Take it how it is. You know what I'm saying? But you're really making it plain. And it's so beautiful that you're directing this. And I'm going to say this again to our colored children, okay? The melanin kids, the kids that are sometimes too often forgot about, and just making it really, really plain for them. This right here, this is a game changer. If I had a vote out of all of them, and I just it's this one. It's this one for me, because I'm buying it today. I literally mean that. And so I know I want to keep you here.
I want to stay.
I really do, and I'm gonna have to invite you back.
Okay.
I really enjoyed this, because I was like, you said you met me off Tabitha Brown, and I'm so glad you reached out to me. But that was my first book. I'm not a reader. # I don't read. No, you would be surprised about that. I'm trying to change that.
I'm a reader.
That is some inner healing I got to do. We'll talk offline with it.
Gotcha.
But I'm not, and so I'm trying to become a reader, and I think I need to heal my inner child. And this gonna help me heal my inner child with reading and being active or whatever, because basically my comprehension wasn't all that. They told me my comprehension went good when I was a child, so I got to heal that part of me. # I told you my business.
That's one of the things on my author soapbox. And it's one of the, I don't want to call it a negative thought, but it can get in my head about, well, why are you doing this? Because we're in an age that's digital. We're in an age where, they've got all these rules for the third graders, and so many people can't read at a certain level. So why are you even bothering when this is not even like a lane anymore? People don't really go to the library anymore. So I can't not do it.
Hey, you be obedient. That you keep being obedient, because adults are gonna read this book too. Okay,
yeah, I
books.
can't not do it. I can't. It's an unrest. Like it's
It's
a forward push that I always have at my back about this, and so it's just gonna have to continue to be the work that I do, even if it falls on not as many ears as I'd like for it to. But
hey, listen. I'm for Dr. T. Okay, you just made me a fan. All in the last hour, however long we've been here. Listen, I know we could go on and on and on about this wonderful project that you have, or projects that you have, this opportunity that you have, but we're gonna put your information, attach your information, as we always do with our guests. So if you want to find Dr. T, it's Dr. Deven Tellis. to y'all, Dr. T to me. Just go down, look at the bios and all that stuff like that. But I'm going to give you an opportunity. I do this with every guest. I'm going to give you an opportunity to have a final thought. We've talked about a lot of things. We talked about education. We talked about books. We talked about your frustrations. We talked about the Lord. We talked about a few things, right? Yeah. But if there was one thing that you wanted to lead the people with, if there was one thing that was on your heart today, what would it be?
I would say move with a purpose, walk in a purpose. And the purpose, if you don't know what that is, because I just am coming into realizing what mine is, it's whatever gives you excitement, but it's whatever gives you unrest. Move towards that and just lean into it. Don't worry about dollar signs, don't think about it in a logical sense. Just go towards it and it will make a way for you. That's my final word.
That's a great word. And it's real. So, Dr. T, thank you so much for coming to Just Ask the podcast. I really appreciate it. I cannot wait to see the evolution of this thing because it's continuously evolving. I can already see it, and we're definitely gonna have another conversation. I really enjoyed you, Desiree, as always, baby. Desiree.
I enjoyed you too, Dr. T.
Thanks.
Like you really I feel something stirred up.
I'm stirred. You hear me? I shouldn't have opened that book. I saw another prompt. I'm about to go I'm gonna cash app you real quick, okay? Listen. Y'all, please go look at this opportunity that Dr. T has. I love y'all. Until next week, life could be much more simple if you just ask. See y'all later.